Well, good evening there, pipe pals.
Drummer Wwiii Jones III.
How's it going? Well, it is April 10th in the year of our Lord, 2018.
Is called David. Before that's bassist Dave Hall.
And so do you notice something different about me?
Hands. My name's Devin Corzan.
Notice something different about me?
On Cap Radio, 80.9
Notice something different about me? Okay.
Sonora. Stick around, the swing and
well, I'm
Christian McBride Big
hopefully
Band,
that's working.
which took home a Grammy.
Yeah, okay.
Standing ensemble.
So I'm back after.
You get support from University of the Pacific.
Oh, it's probably been about 3 weeks.
Educational entrepreneurship program. This Thursday,
Maybe 2.5 weeks. I can't remember now.
Discusses bringing innovation
but it's the week after Easter.
Pacific.edu.
And as you know, I gave up. Well, I shouldn't say gave up, but I just didn't smoke during Lent. And believe it or not, even though this is like a week and a day after Easter,
Roseville Jazz Day.
This is the first pipe I've had in about 8 or 9 weeks now, so maybe 10 weeks. So anyway, I hope you're having a great Monday evening. Hold on a second, I'm going to turn down the music just a little bit. Okay, little KXPR jazz there. And let's see, I've got the lay housekeeping. This is my one of my wonderful companion pipes. This is one of my Dunnies, my Dunny cherry wood, my very first Dunny cherry wood. And yes, she is a good girl. I spent a lot of time with this pipe a number of years ago. Takes me back now that I think about it. Driving around the river and doing a lot of cogitating. Let me just put it that way. Okay, let me just pull back here. Oops, going forward there. A little bit too much. Okay. So I'm back with another video and just wanted to. I'm also drinking some delicious coffee. I've been drinking coffee now for a little over a week. That was the first thing I had on Easter Sunday afternoon. Drove to some really dear friends in Carson City and broke my coffee fast. And oh man, it was good. Wow. And I have to say, it probably saved my life coming home. I think it literally did save my life because, wow. Well, maybe I'll get to that story some other time. But suffice it to say, I'm enjoying a pipe tonight with you. And in this pipe I'm smoking, I found a blend that I have not spent a lot of time with. And I just thought, after seeing it, I said, you know what? That maybe this would be it. This is Spice and Nice, or Nice and Spice and Nice by Boswell's. And the reason why I like Boswell tobaccos, for so many reasons. One, there is no noticeable tongue bite. And for somebody who hasn't smoked a pipe in about 9 weeks, I guess, or 10 weeks, I will probably know real soon if there's going to be any tongue bite. So, but most of the Boswell blends I've tried, I don't think I've ever had any tongue bite with Boswell's. So if you are a new to the hobby and you're of legal smoking age, I want to say that. And should you choose to smoke a pipe, that's your business. It's none of my business. But I can recommend wholeheartedly recommend the Boswell blends. They're flavorful. Very little tongue bite, if any at all. And then the other thing is that, gosh, I probably got this several years ago. And all of those out there right now are probably just going, oh, I can't believe it. You never cellared it properly. And you're right, I didn't. Mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. Okay, get over it. Yeah, I didn't cellar it. But that's a testimony to how wonderful those tobaccos keep. They're not cheap store-bought stuff that goes dry. And in fact, this is still moist. It's not wet. It's still moist. Amazing. And granted, it's not because I cellared it properly, because I didn't. But I should now, unless I decide to. Maybe just smoke that whole bag someday. Just have a day where I just go out and sit in the sun. And I was going to do this video in my backyard, but I wanted to use my green screen tonight because I just want to do something different. I really have to be honest. I threw my back out about 3 weeks ago, and it has been, I don't want to make a big deal about it, but it's been hard. It's been kind of because I still have to do all the things that I do, and so usually at the end of the day, I was beat. I've been sleeping on the floor. I've been thinking about getting a futon mattress a little bit, maybe next month. We'll see about that. But the last time I really threw my back out, I had sciatica, and the only thing that really helped me was just lying down I had appendicitis, and I had my appendix taken out. Before that, I had this horrible sciatica, and I was on Vicodin, and oh man, it was terrible for like a month or so, at least a couple months I remember, and I was just really in a lot of pain. And then I got the appendicitis. I had the operation, and they said, yeah, you gotta lie down for like 3 weeks. I said, 3 weeks? Anyway, I was able to do that, and in the course of 3 weeks, my sciatica went away. And I've been told that basically that's the only real thing that helps you is just, good old-fashioned bed rest. And I'm probably laying on the floor helps me a lot too. So anyway, I'm doing a little bit better. Thank you very much. But it's kind of a struggle. I haven't been exercising the last 3 weeks. Yeah, I just really feel lousy right now. So I need to gauge, what's realistic for me. But I need to get back out to walking, eventually running again, and doing my other exercises because I really feel, and I probably gained weight, and I don't even want to go there right now. But anyway, that's where I've been. So again, but I just thought I'm gonna make a video tonight, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't really want to make a video tonight. No, I did not want to make a video tonight. Oh, what happened here? What happened here? Uh-oh. Did it? Okay, we still working here? Looks like we're still cooking with Crisco. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I didn't really want to make a video tonight. It's a neat little trick that I've got with my Apple Watch here. I wonder if you can see this, if I can do it right. Anyway, there's my Apple Watch. But it's a little viewfinder. And I think Richard T. one time said that I wasn't being framed up properly in my videos when I do it this way, because I don't have a monitor. Usually I do it the other way so I can see myself, as I'm doing like a selfie video. But I noticed that the video quality isn't that great, so I want you guys to have the best 4K videos out there, yeah. But anyway, so I didn't want to make this video because, to be honest with you, well, tonight on April the 10th, things are getting pretty scary out there. I think you all know what I'm talking about. If you watch this video in the next day or two, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. This whole thing in Syria has got me and lots and lots of other people really concerned that could this be the tinderbox that sets off, some very horrific political encounters that could be very, very absolutely devastating and horrific if things escalated to the point that they possibly could. And I was watching a video by Stefan Molyneux, and very sobering video. So if you watch this video and you wonder what he had to say, and you might want to go check out Stefan Molyneux. I think he's a Canadian YouTuber. He's got not billions, but he's got millions of, or at least thousands of subscribers. He's very philosophical, and he's a very interesting fellow. I don't always agree maybe with every single thing that comes from his mouth, but he says a lot of things that really make a lot of sense to me. And I have to sometimes kind of say, I think he's right, you know. So anyway, there's that. Make of it what you will. Yeah, I'm really happy with this tobacco. Now, to be honest, let me just be honest. I'm going to backtrack a little bit here. I know that my purists out there who are already furiously typing and chastising me for not properly cellaring this wonderful tobacco. To be honest, it doesn't have the same full flavor that it once had, you know, and possibly if I had cellared it, it would be almost like new, but it's still good. That's all I'm going to say. And with a cup of coffee, or whatever your adult libation would be at this time of the night, you can't go wrong. It's got a very buttery flavor to it, which again complements my my very heavy creamed coffee. And so, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. Kind of a nutty, buttery flavor. It's truly a Cavendish, I know that, and I like Cavendish. I have a spectrum of all types of tobaccos. So I'm not like one person that, you know, I only like this kind of tobacco and I hate all the other ones, you know. I'm pretty eclectic in my tastes, so if somebody gave me a tin of, and that's not a hint by the way, I got way too much tobacco as it is. I need to probably divest myself of all the nice tobaccos that a lot of them are unopened now. So I'm still trying to practice that, you know, just go through the ones that are opened and do the best I can before opening new ones. Now, if somebody said, we've got this tobacco, literally, that you've got to try, and they sent me an unopened tin, and they told me it was like the best thing since sliced bread. Of course, I've never smoked sliced bread before. That might be interesting. Yeah, toasted tobacco, kind of, Anyway, but if someone did that, and they said, just got to try it, you know, let me know what you think, I probably would be tempted to do that. But I've already got so many other nice gifts and tins of tobacco from viewers, and, you know, again, I've been very grateful for the little, you know, unexpected little gifts that I get. And hope you don't think I'm soliciting anybody giving me anything, because I'm not. I really am not. It's just that I've had over the years, you know, people just being very kind and generous out of nowhere, and I kind of go, what's this? Who is this? You know, and I realize, oh, it's from the YouTube Pipe channel. Okay, so anyway, but so I had a lot of little gifts, and I'm still enjoying those, and will hopefully continue to for the foreseeable future. Okay, so I had a little list of things. Not a lisp, but a list of some things. I just wanted to do some talking points tonight, and then I'll put this video together probably in the next day or two, and hopefully we're all still here in the next 48 hours. But a lot of things are going on, obviously, and it seems to me, and one of the reasons why I'm kind of a bit melancholy tonight is because it seems like things are snowballing out of control. I mean, it just seems like it's just one. It's like a hydra. You cut off one head and 7 more pop up in its place. It's incredible. The whole thing with Facebook. I've never been a big Facebook person. Last year, about this time, I had a Facebook account, and back in 2009 was like the last time I actually posted anything on it. And then about later in 2009, I just said, you know what? I think it was like in September of 2009. I said, because I knew that Facebook when I did at the time, I didn't know if it was like mining my data, but it seemed like if I bought a book or I remember somebody said, "Oh, I see you bought a book," and it was some Facebook person, you know, talking to me, and I went, "Yeah, how did you know that?" And
intellectual.
that really made me feel very vulnerable. It's like, wait a minute, I don't want you to know that I bought that book. Not that it was a bad book, but in this day and age, if you have certain political opinions, and you know I have my political opinions, and some of you agree and some of you don't agree, and that's okay. But we're getting into a place now where political opinions can maybe get you in a lot of trouble. People might, if they don't physically attack you, they can certainly try to find ways to make your life miserable. If they think, well, you shouldn't think that way. You know, okay. So anyway, I remember feeling kind of creeped out about that. You know, it's one thing to share it with somebody that I choose to say, yeah, hey, guess what? You know, like I'm making this video to you guys. So I feel that anything pretty here is fair game. You know, if you wanted to comment on what I say, or you don't want to say, you know, you shouldn't be smoking a pipe. I've even had a few people lately say, oh, smoking's bad and you shouldn't be smoking. And it's like, it's a pipe channel. You know, if you don't like pipe smoking, then go somewhere else. But anyway, I was like, I tend not to try to argue with people. If I have a legitimate concern and I couldn't have a question, I'll maybe pop a question back and say, what did you mean by that? Can you clarify what you were saying? But for the most part, I let people have their opinions, and I don't try to argue with them. A few people I've kind of, you know, like I said, I've kind of like, well, what do you mean by that? You know, what do you want me to do to explain my position more? If I feel that's going to help, have a dialogue. And if it's people just venting, and a lot of people, they'll say, I stumble on your channel and I think you're a piece of crap and blah, blah, blah. You know, they'll say all these nasty things and they vent, and I go, well, I hope they feel better. You know, they're just stumbling upon a video, and, you know, I do that all the time, you know, and I don't know about you, but my YouTube queue gets filled up with interesting videos, and some of them I check out, and most of them I don't, and I watch the ones that I watch, and I don't watch the other ones, and sometimes I might be kind of like curious, like, well, what are they talking about? Maybe I'll check this one out, and I go out and go, yeah, okay, I don't agree, or, you know, that's not my opinion, or that's not the way I see the world, and you have a nice day, and thank you for, you know, giving me your share of the world, your take on the world, and have a nice day. That's kind of basically, I just leave it at that. So anyway, but Facebook, you know, so I kept the account, but I disabled it, I guess, or I guess that's what I kind of shut it down. And then last year I thought, well, you know, I have some family out there that they live far away, and, you know, maybe they're trying to get a hold of me. You know, sometimes people will use Facebook as maybe they're on Facebook, see if they're on Facebook, you know. And I was sharing with people my 25th anniversary last year, and I thought, well, maybe a few people from my past might want to know that I made 25 years and I'm still alive and I'm doing okay. So I did that, I posted the video and everything, and kind of gave them a little update, and didn't have much of a response. I think a couple people said nice picture or happy anniversary, and that was about it. So I do not have a following on Facebook, not at all. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So, but today, you know, with Mark Zuckerberg, he really got zucked today, I guess. But two people who I do kind of have a lot of respect for, Steve Wozniak and Edward Snowden, pretty much said, if you have Facebook, you need to just delete it. And so I probably am just going to shut it down again, and maybe if I'm alive in another 10 years, I'll open it back up and see if anybody left me a message or something. But it's not so much that I personally have had it, because I don't really use it that much. I have a few people that I kind of follow, and they're friends that live a little bit further away, and I kind of use that as a little way to stay in touch. But for the most part, they're real friends. They're not Facebook friends per se. And if they really wanted to get in touch with me, all they got to do is call, because they got my number. So I'm probably just going to shut it down again. Speaking of watching YouTube videos, and it kind of ties in with the whole thing with Syria, is I've been watching, for some reason, I guess preppers are big in the YouTube community now, because you know, people are scared. You know, people are really, really scared of what's going on in the world, and, you know, maybe they're thinking that, did I turn this on? Did I turn that on? I didn't turn that on. Oh well. Okay, well, the audio isn't going to work on this one, guys. You're just going to get the basic raw footage audio, so I hope it's good, because I didn't set my other backup second ADR thing. So anyway, that's life. Sorry about that. So if you're wondering why the audio is a little bit not the greatest, it's my fault. Yep, it's my fault. Okay, let me just double check and make sure that we're still recording on this. And we're still recording. Okay, great. So preppers have had a kind of an interesting presence on YouTube, at least for me. I don't know why, but maybe because, again, I know it's all algorithms, and whatever you watch, they kind of calculate and figure out what you might be interested in, and they'll pop up a video for you and say, hey, check this one out. So last night, all of a sudden, I saw all these videos about preppers and doomsday preppers and Christian Bible preppers, which was very interesting. So, again, I don't have any problems with people being preppers. I mean, my whole thing is that, and I've thought about it quite a bit. So if you are a dyed-in-the-wool prepper, don't take this as a criticism, like you're stupid and you're dumb. Not at all. It's just that I started thinking, well, in my case, because I really don't own property, I'm kind of subject to wherever I'm sent. So I could prepare, and a lot of these preppers, they've been preparing for if not years, decades, to either shelter in place or burrow down in their property somewhere and that kind of a thing. So one, I don't have a property that I could do that. Now, could I store water and some rations and some batteries and flashlights and a radio and that kind of stuff, and some medical stuff maybe? That's probably a very smart idea. However, here's the thing. Supposing you spend $400,000 and you build yourself literally an underground home that's supposedly, radiation proof and, nuclear proof and, and biologically proofed, that kind of thing. Well, the problem is, what happens if you're at work? One of these guys has his place, his bug out place, as they call it, his shelter in place. It's like 300 miles north of where he actually lives. Okay, well, chances are, if it's a disaster or it's a political unrest situation, like say, God forbid, the balloon goes up and we're all glowing in the dark now, or we're little shadows on some wall for the rest of eternity. Good luck getting there. I started thinking about this about 10 years ago, and I was living in this on this little winery place, and it was beautiful and nice. And I said, well, two things could happen. One, I could be at work when everything goes bad, and now, because the roads are either going to be jammed or impassable, or maybe EMP, the cars aren't going to work anymore. So how am I going to get home? I'd have to walk, and that would be like 20 miles. So now, that's not impossible, but supposing I got back home, and let's say it was some natural disaster that caused the upheaval and the mayhem. And I get back to the shelter, and guess what? The shelter is collapsed. And all that stuff that I've stored in the shelter, it's inaccessible. Or maybe there was a fire, or maybe there was a flood, or again, whatever. In other words, you don't know where you're going to be when things go bad. You're kind of taking a gamble. So yeah, it's good to be prepared, but if all your preparations are miles and miles away and you can't get to them, it's not going to do you any good. And I'm not saying don't be a prepper. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that that's the way I see it. So again, I'm not saying don't try to be prepared for emergencies. We should all be prepared to the extent that we can. So maybe you take with you a little survival bag wherever you go, something in your trunk, of your car, and at least you got maybe a day or two of water and maybe some Advil if you need that, or a bandage or something, or whatever it is, some fire, because you're going to need fire. Fire is very, very handy. So all I'm just saying is that you can prepare, and that's probably a very wise thing to do, but it's not a guarantee that even if you do all of that work that you're still going to be safe. I mean, at least you've got maybe a better chance than other people to survive, providing you survive the initial, whatever it is, the initial devastation of the disaster, or the devastation of the the war that happens, whatever it is, and you can get to your shelter and you can hunker down, that's great. It's just that it's a 50-50 chance that unless you live. Now, there's some people that live and work and they have their own property. If you have those three things, you live and work on your own property, then yeah, you're pretty much set. You're good to go. But most people don't. They live in apartments. They maybe live in a rented house or something. It's not their property, and so and especially if you're renting a house, you really can't do anything because it's not your house. Obviously, you can't go out there and start digging in a shelter down in the ground. The owners probably would not approve of that. So, again, it's not your property, so you really can't do anything there either. So you're really kind of limited. So again, that's why it's probably good to have friends that live in the country or out in the sticks. And then, if you have to, have a bike in your truck or your car that you can put together and, ride there. It might take you a couple of days to get there, but at least you've got transportation and you've got something that'll help you maybe survive a couple of days before, whatever happens next. Because anyway, so those prepper videos have been on my mind a bit. It just seems like there really is a lot of anger and angst right now in the world. Every time I think about, I was kind of grateful that we had Holy Week and Easter, because that kind of got me away from social media for a while and got me away from the news, because I was having to prepare and plan the Holy Week services, and then of course Easter, and so I was really grateful for that. So kind of coming back last week, all I did was basically rest, and I didn't really do a whole lot. But this week I've kind of started getting back into my regular routine, and unfortunately I'm kind of disappointed because I feel like, some of this stuff really is very depressing. I mean, I know you can't put your head in the sand and pretend it doesn't exist, but there's just a lot of anger out there, and it just seems to be getting worse, not better. And that's what's so disheartening. It's like, there are people are at each other's throats, whether it's on the Second Amendment issue or the transgender issues. I mean, people are just ripping at each other's throats, and or the DACA issue, the migrant issue, the illegal alien issue, or whatever, the border wall, all these things. And it just seems like, for one person has a passionate view, another person has another passionate view, and both of them would like to kill each other, for the most part. And it's not so much that, whether you like guns or you don't like guns, it's now got to the point of, if you even think that the Second Amendment needs to be preserved, you're a bad person. Again, now notice that the person hasn't even talked about a gun per se personally, hasn't brandished a firearm, hasn't pointed a firearm at anybody. He just says, yeah, I believe in the Second Amendment. You're a bad, evil person, And this is scary, because when we start telling people that their ideas and their beliefs are bad and we're not going to let you think that way anymore, and if you think that way, there's going to be consequences. What? What are you talking about? So, if you, if you have beliefs, don't share them with anybody. That's all I'll say, because it seems like right now you're really open season, especially if people disagree with you. And I don't know. I've had in my life I had a lot of experiences of having people disagree with me, and that's just part of life. No, but not we're not going to be a homogenous society where everybody is going to agree. And the beautiful thing about America used to be is, live and let live. If you want to believe what you believe, as long as you're not trying to shut me up and put me in a concentration camp, even if I think it's wrong or I don't agree with it for politics or religious principles, so what? So what? Anyway, so and that's just something I've been saying, and talking about angry people and people just really foaming at the mouth. The Pope, God love him, he's always saying things that are always very controversial. And the problem is that I think part of the problem is that he needs a better PR person, PR man, whatever, to help him make sure that what he says is not going to cause a lot of people to be scratching their head and saying, what? He's talked about, I guess a week or so ago, that there is no hell. Supposedly, now they're saying he didn't say that. And yet so many people, when I just went online and said, and this is the truth, no Pope has the authority to change the teachings of the church, or especially the teachings of Jesus Christ. He doesn't have the authority to do that. And he can't do that. Even if he thinks it's the best thing in the world, he can't do that. And unfortunately, if people don't understand that about Catholicism, they think he's like the president, that he can somehow, write, some executive church order and reverse things. And that's the problem. A lot of people, and they get angry when I say this, but if you just said, well, okay, that's the way the Catholic Church is, and, you don't have to be Catholic if you don't want to be Catholic. But, he can't deny, just because he doesn't like it, the existence of hell. That's been a consistent teaching of the faith for over 2,000 centuries. I mean, 2,000 years. Not 2,000 centuries. That's a little bit longer than that. A little bit shorter than that. I understand I made a mistake there. But I'm just saying that he doesn't have the authority to change that. The Pope and the bishops and like I said, one person, well, the priest have he's going to give the priest the authority to. I can't change it. In other words, and you say, well, why do you want to believe in hell? Well, I don't want to believe in hell. It's just that's what the church has always taught. And the more important thing is that is what Jesus Christ taught. Jesus has, when he came, he was very clear. He said, narrow is the way and few seldom find it that leads to eternal life. And basically, most people are headed to, and it's a sobering thought, they're headed towards eternal damnation. And most people say, well, that's not Jesus. He wouldn't say that. That's not loving. No, it's loving if that's the truth. And he's trying to say, hey, it's like, the bridge is out down the road, and I'm trying to say, stop, turn around, the bridge is out. That's loving. I have no control over the fact that the bridge is out and that you're going to plummet 2,000 feet to your death, but I can stop you, I can warn you. But if you don't want to listen to the warning and you want to go merrily on your way, then that's fine, that's your choice. But again, he can't, just because people, I think, in our world today, they don't want punishment. They think, okay, somehow that we recognize that somehow punishment is a bad thing. It's like we kind of coddle inmates, and sadly, they never learn. A lot of them will die in prison because people were always trying to be nice to them, and instead of letting them suffer the consequences of their negative actions, that might be the way they find redemption and salvation. It's like, you know what? I don't like rotting in this prison. And if I ever get a chance at parole, I'm going to amend my life. I'm going to not be a criminal. I'm not going to try to find an easy way to make lots of money and have a very, injurious life that hurts other people and myself in the long run. So, but people don't want to hear that because they think, oh, that's bad. That's so mean and mean-spirited or whatever. But if Jesus talked about the reality of hell, I'm going to believe him. And again, the Pope, and I think again he kind of realized that he made a mistake saying that, because he has no authority to change that. And so a lot of people have to understand that. But I remember I just posted that little thing on a YouTube thing, not a YouTube thing, but on a Yahoo thing, and our Yoo-hoo thing, and I had like 9 or 10 angry people. Oh, yeah, rah, 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 rah. They were just really mad at that because, and I don't care what Jesus says, or there is no Jesus, and who cares what the Pope, who cares what you think, and, all this just really hateful stuff. And I'm like going, wow, man, there's people pretty angry out there. Oh. Chill out, smoke a pipe, drink some coffee, whatever. What's this here? I don't have my glasses here. Anyway, so the thing is that as we look at everything that's going on in Syria tonight, it's pretty scary, because if we retaliate for the gassing, and there's a lot of people now saying that there's no way to determine if that really happened or not. And again, I have no clue, and neither do most of you either. Because we rely on the media, and depending on what media outlet, most media outlets now are so biased, they're going to slant the news one way to their own perceptions of how they think reality should be, instead of just being objective and reporting the facts. And we're hoping that maybe our president is getting good intel. And the other thing is, with the Mueller investigation, and again, I know people think that, you're a big Trump supporter and blah blah. Well, again, I'm not, but I am trying to be objective. And I tried to be objective with President Obama, but unfortunately, the sad reality is that he is being so distracted by this angry mob mentality that's trying to, remove him from office, instead of probably right now might be a good time to put down some of the political animosity that they have for him. I'm not saying they have to love him, they have to accept him as far as, he's the greatest president ever, but try to support the man, because we may be going to World War III here, DEFCON 4, folks. And all you're doing is you're whining and complaining that you lost an election 2 years ago, and all you're doing is sharpening your knives and trying to find any way you can to discredit this president and to destroy his presidency. And in the wake of that, you're really destroying our society. You're making civil unrest more and more not appropriate, but more of a reality than it needs to be. And usually in time of crisis, a country will kind of come together. Now, I did see that in my life. I saw it once when we had 9/11. As horrible as that was, and I remember seeing, as many of you remember seeing too, those unfiltered raw images of people jumping from those burning towers. I'll never forget seeing that and going, oh my gosh, am I seeing what I'm seeing? Because at the time, they weren't trying to edit anything like they did later, trying to sanitize it. And that was horrific. I mean, watching a person on live TV jumping to their death because the fire was so bad that the only choice they thought would be better was jumping thousands of feet up in the air down to the concrete. They thought they had a better chance living through that. So, but I remember afterwards, it seemed like a lot of the closet anarchists kind of went in the closet and they kind of hid out for at least a month or two. But then the rallies started, all the quote-unquote, the anti-war rallies and all this stuff. I understand on one level, and we all feel this way. We all want to be able to live our lives. And in some ways, we want our lives to matter. We want to say that when we come to the end of our life, we did something with it, most of us. And maybe for a lot of us, it's raising our families, doing a good job at your employment, trying to make the world and your neighborhood a better place. Those are all noble endeavors. I think most men and women want to do that. And you recognize that, not everybody is going to agree with you politically or religiously or philosophically, but at least you can say, okay, I can accept the fact. I got to be honest with you, I'm being a little bit overwhelmed right now because I've got these Sonos speakers and they are doing true stereophonic. That's amazing. That's awesome. That's kind of rare. I don't really hear that a lot, but that is complete stereo separation, and that is really cool. Oh man, Sonos. If you haven't looked into getting some Sonos speakers, I would recommend them. They're wonderful. I wouldn't say they're as good as, well, yeah, I would say they're probably as good as the Apple speaker there is. Okay, let's see. We're still going here. We're still going. We're still going. Hey, we're still going. Can I zoom in a little bit? Hey, I can zoom in a little bit there. Okay, let me zoom back a little bit. There we go. So anyway, but we all want to have meaning in our life. I think almost everybody that's fully rational, functional human being wants to have a fully meaningful life. And I think a lot of people feel that, and I guess, and I'm not discrediting them or not putting them down, but a lot of people really want to show what they believe by taking to the streets and marching. And that's First Amendment. First Amendment 101. And whether you're marching for or against, say, firearms, or for and against military intervention in Syria, or for and against, transgender rights, or whatever it is, or, Hobbit rights, I'm hoping to see, hobbits marching for their rights, because I think hobbits have been overlooked. I think people belittle them. And I really think it's time that hobbits kind of stood up for their rights. So I'm kind of all for hobbit rights and Middle Earth rights. Just saying, it's kind of like a new movement. I think I'm going to start that. Yeah, what about pipe smoker rights? I don't think we have lots of rights anymore, folks. In fact, if they could outlaw tobacco tomorrow, they probably would. So if you got it, smoke it. If you got it, cellar it, because it may come a point where people say that this is bad, it's harmful, secondhand smoke is harmful, and you don't need to be smoking. You don't need to be smoking. Just saying, that's the argument that a lot of people would like to argue with. So anyway, I digress. So anyway, but I was just going to say, almost going to bring this to a close here pretty soon. I'm way over right now. But we all want to live meaningful lives. You do, I do. And I did get a chance to go through Dr. Jordan Peterson's book, The 12 Habits. What is it? The 12 Rules for Life. I think 12 Rules for Life. Whether you read the book or you listen to it as an audio book at night or on a walk, you can't go wrong. Because pretty much everything he says in that book is something that you and I can apply to our lives. Because when it comes down to it, I have zero control over what happens in Syria tonight. I have zero control of what other people who have different political opinions think, say, and do. I can't control that. But I can, with a little bit of grace from God, and a little bit of self-discipline, I can make a difference in my life. I can change things in my life that need to be changed. And sometimes that's not easy. Sometimes it's very difficult. Sometimes it's just a little bit painful and awkward. But I still have the choice, to make a difference in my life. And if I make a difference in my life for the better, chances are, and this is what Dr. Peterson says, and this is just basically just good old-fashioned Christian spirituality, is it'll have an effect in my life and in the lives of other people, hopefully a positive life. Now, granted, some people may not agree. I was listening to Bishop Robert Barron, and he was giving a critique of all things about Jordan Peterson's book, and I said, I'll have to listen to this. And Bishop Barron's an interesting guy. I have listened to many of his talks. He's very thoughtful. He's very, I think, for the most part, pretty faithful to what the church teaches. But I was interested to hear him say that, his only critique about Jordan Peterson was that he said that Jordan Peterson kind of leaves everything in the quote-unquote mythological realm, and he was saying, well, as a Christian, though, we believed these were not just mythic blueprints, if you will, or mythic stories. These are also historically based stories, and that's why we also believe them. There's a reality to them. Now, again, I understand what he's saying, but he also did correct himself, or at least he did apologize and said, well, I have to also say that, Jordan Peterson has never presented himself as a Christian theologian, and he hasn't, but he certainly, I'll tell you what, he certainly sounds like a Christian theologian in many ways, especially the application, because it's one thing to hear the stories of the Bible and the stories of Jesus, but it's another thing when we begin to try to incorporate that into our lives. And I'm the first one to say that I fail miserably in many levels, and but at least I'm trying. I'm striving. I'm still trying to be open to what the Word of God says, and I let it challenge me. Let it challenge me to the point where, I do change. If I need to change, I'm going to say, well, I need to think about that. Not only think about it, but I need to readjust my life now according, not just my thinking, not my theology per se, but my life. And I think that that's what Jordan Peterson. I think that's the reason why that book is so, I think, meaningful to so many people. Now, the bishop said it was kind of like a young man's book. I think it's a book for everybody, no matter what you're, a young man or a young woman, or a middle-aged man or a middle-aged woman, or an older person like me, or an older. I think it applies to everybody because, we're trying to, as some Christian authors have said in the past, try to be the best version of ourselves that we possibly can be, with the help of God. So anyway, that's all I was going to say tonight. I hope and pray that cooler heads will prevail in the Syrian matter, and we'll still be here in another 48 hours. We won't be rushing to our bunkers, and all you preppers out there, if it comes to that, I wish you well. Say a little prayer for me. I might come knock on your door for some water, or maybe a sandwich. So don't turn me away. Be nice to me. So with that, I will say Guten Abend, Arrivederci, Sayonara, and take care. We'll see you. Bye-bye.